Hi everyone, and the purpose of this video is to help you complete the story sequence chart that we started in class the other day. And as you know, we read through our story and we completed the first outline, which was the characters and the setting, and that was actually pretty easy. We put information in about our two crabs and where they were likely hanging out, the beach. So you can use your imagination a little bit more in stories. So let's take a look again at the story, and then we will complete the two remaining outlines. So in our class we read this, but let's read it again. "Why in the world do you walk sideways like that?" said a mother crab to her son. "You should always walk straight forward with your toes turned out." "Show me how to walk, mother dear," answered the little crab obediently. "I want to learn." So the old crab tried and tried to walk straight forward, but she could walk sideways only like her son. And when she wanted to turn her toes out, she tripped and fell on her nose. So the moral of the story is, do not tell others how to act unless you can set a good example. So this is just a little story. We're starting with something very, very small. And we, like I said, we did our first chart and we just put a few things about the crabs. So that was our setting and character. So now we were working on the conflict in the plot. And that's where we want to figure out what's going on in the story. So we know that, you can, we wrote a few things down, and I'm going to write a few things down in this one. You can keep them the same, you can change them. But we talked about how the mom was critical about the boy's walk. So I put here, mom critical walk. Then for my second one, I put what she wanted him to do. What was it she wanted? What do the characters do, say, think, and feel? So she wanted him to walk right. She didn't think he was walking correctly. So she tells him, walk straight, toes out. Now I used 4 words here, but the other day I drew toes on the board. So you could always draw toes, and just can't draw very well on a PowerPoint. So then if we keep going, we want to add that mom then walks, but I put bad in capital letters because it does not go well, right? And that's kind of the cliffhanger part. And I put here that, so whoops, I had my slides backwards. So mom walks bad, but then in the last one, I put mom can't teach with a sad face, because that's kind of, she's probably really sad and her son doesn't know what to think. And so that's how our second paragraph is going to end. But then in the third paragraph, we either want to teach the moral to the story or we want to have things be solved. Remember, we talked the other day about Cinderella and the problems that happened and how the prince came along with the shoe and solved the problems. So let's move on and see what I did for the last one. And I have the whole slide up there. So I'm going to talk through it. So we know in number 1, I put mom trips falls. And this is where I can use my imagination a little bit. She was probably embarrassed. She can't help her son. She can't fix his problem. And she's probably a little embarrassed. And I fixed my spelling there for you. And then they finally figure out crabs walk sideways. That's just how crabs walk. I don't know if you've ever been at the beach and seen the little sand crabs or big crabs that are alive and walking. They walk sideways. It's rather odd, but that's just how they walk. And then the moral of the story just reminds us that to set a good example, we have to be a good example. Now, we next week will be talking about how to turn these into writing. Like I said, with your stories, you can be much more imaginative and you can add things in. So we did add some things in here. We added, when we talked about the mom and the baby, it doesn't really say they're at the beach. We added that in. You could also give them names. You can also describe them. Are they a blue crab? Are they a gray crab? You can describe them, add some color. Maybe mom's really old and her shell is cracking. So when you write stories, you really can take off with your imagination. So I want you to fill it out, fill it completely out. Here is the second one completely filled out. And the second one is going to talk about the problem. So mom's critical. She tells him how to walk, then mom tries and she can't. She realizes she can't teach him. That is the conflict and the plot. But then when we get to the last one, and if I'm moving too fast, hit pause until you can write all the words on your sheet. But then on the last one, after she trips and falls, she's embarrassed. It doesn't say in the story that she was embarrassed. I've added that in because I want to be able to then help them solve the problem. And then they realize that crabs walk sideways, and you have to be a good example to set a good example. So I'm going to go back to the second one, and I want you to hit pause if you haven't written everything. And then when you're finished that, you can turn it back on, and you can go to the last one and do the same thing. Hit pause. So I hope that helped you to finish your story sequence chart, and we're going to be doing this a whole lot more over the next few weeks. So we'll get lots of practice. But that's it, and I will see you Thursday on our meetup.